Let there be light, and there was light. Words of the said God, Mother Eve. So why have the gods changed positions? Have they really changed positions? These are questions we are asking here on Crimey Queen's YouTube channel. Okay, so my last presentations were on the same subject, looking at the called God of Genesis chapter 1. Of course, we had seen that the called God showed up in, I think, 3 verses of the of Genesis chapter 1. It was Genesis chapter 1 verse 5 and 1 verse 8 and 1 verse 10. So we looked at those and we saw a strong correlation as to why the God would move or change positions, considering the fact, I'm going to say the fact now, that Mother Eve has called us to really pay attention to the called God, because the called God is now very active in our operations for really for being proactive or co-creator with God, with Mother Eve, as making man in our image after our likeness. This is what Mother Eve called us to do in Genesis in chapter 1, but it's really in the 8th entry. When we say the 8th entry of the Latins, I have covered that in where Mother Eve said, let there be light. So if you tap in Let There Be Light by Crimey Queen, you will come to some the presentations that covers this subject. So Let There Be Light, Mother Eve had 8 Latins on her. So the first Latin was just giving a brief intro on this, was Let There Be Light, which everyone knows this one. It happens to be the 3rd verse of the Bible. Let there be light, and there was light. And of course, I call it Mother Eve was casting her spell. And of course, we speak of the word spell because Mother Eve is about words. Mother Eve is about letters, because this is why they are Latins. And of course, we see the word let is to tell. Yes, there is another L missing. As we know, those letters are put in place to get our direction or attention to some other way of understanding. But the word let is really the word to tell. Let there be light, and there was light. And Mother Eve also said, let there be a firmament in the heavens, let the waters be divided, and let them bring forth creatures after its kind. Let the waters, that which is above the waters, be there was another, bring forth all kinds of creatures. So the waters were speaking. As I say, I'm just paraphrasing and giving a hint about it. And let the earth bring forth grass and all trees and so on. And then the last Latin, which was the 8th Latin, Mother Eve said, let us make man in our image after our likeness. There is an invitation. Mother Eve is including us, or including the presence of everything, I believe, in all forms of life here. Mother Eve is saying, let us make man in our image after our likeness. And that is really where we are at now. So that we have come to the end of a 7,000 year cycle. Now, this is something I may not be able to give you the direct way of, or other than there was the 7 Latin, but intuitively I did come to understand it's a 7,000 year cycle, because I also go into meditation with the understandings that I get through numerology. So I am not just using one mode of communication here or understanding, because I believe that our intuition is key is an imprint of dialogue that Mother Eve has left with us, that we can have this dialogue with her. Okay, so it's not just counting numbers, but also getting that intuitive message or understanding that's been conveyed to us. So on the eighth entry, the number 8 is that which sets. It's actually equals set. It's on the 17th verse of the first chapter of the Bible, and 1 plus 7 is 8, and the word set equals 8, and of course the number 17 also equals God. So we can see that there was a shape. The word set took shape right there. Of course, we hear of Set in the mythical gods as well. So I'm talking about of course, perhaps that God, or the God Set, is really is the God who made. Of course, if that God is the Set God, there would be an imprint or an image or something that is more stable that we can see. So the Set God is not in much movement, so to speak, like the moved God is in motion. The made God, there is a process of motion, as well as the ended God would have some kind of seeming finality to it, or there is a segment, but the ended God would come to the beginning of some other cycle, so which can have to some extent well, it could have a sort of what's the word now, a cloud over where one begins and where the other ends. So we are talking about the called God here with Mother Eve's instruction that we have to now understand, or get to understand, the called God, which is the God who's going to help us make man in our image after our likeness. And the called God actually equals 10. When we do the numerical value for the called God, it equals 10. But we have got a setting here that we have allocated these numbers with the gods. Or here we could see, I hope you can see this, my lighting is not as strong as I would want, but we have got a vibration number that corresponds with each of the gods on this side. For instance, the created God is 2, the moved God is 5, and set God is 6. The set God is 7. Divided is 3. Called God is 1, as we have mentioned. The made God 5 again. So we have really formed a table here of the values, and as in the dark print here, we have got each God in sequence of how they are. Mother Eve has now asked us to view the gods in their numerical vibration. So as we have 5 here, and the 4th, for instance, is the divided God, of course, who is also with the blessed God. So we need to be moving these gods, and the positions are moved now. So basically number 4, the divided God, goes with the blessed God. Divided, because it has the numerical value of 3. Divided has the numerical value of 3. Likewise is the blessed God. So basically, we have not got a 4th position here. Let's see if I can get rid of this. So the 4th position of the gods, or we'll just cross it out, is really blank here. And what we have found out, that there is a correlation of that number 4 amiss, because when we do the numerical value for the word forms of the figures here, like 1 to 9, we can see that we have got, well, we've got 2 4s here, but okay, let's look at it on here. When we do the numerical value for, yes, the soul god, okay, what we have done, we have added all the numerical values for the entries of the gods or their values here. For instance, created is 2, and the word 2 equals 13, and 1 plus 3 equals 4. So this is how we have worked it out. And when we add all these together, we have the sum total of 40. So this is 4 that we have got. Basically, we understand that there is something very powerful happening here, that the number 40 is speaking volumes. It is like it is reflective of Moses and the children of Israel going through the promised land, going to the promised land. It is also reflective of Christ having fasted for 40 days and 40 nights before being crucified. So basically 40 is really telling us that we are also in an exodus, or perhaps I'm using a strong word here, but we are on a journey where we are creating, we are becoming co-creators. And this, like the children of Israel, or like Christ, or Jesus Christ, being fasting for 40 days and 40 nights and being tempted by the devil, so to speak, we understand that that was in preparation for a transition. That is preparation for a foundation. Basically, we are in a position now to prepare that foundation for the new man that we are creating in our own image and likeness. Whatever we bring into this this journey of whether we call it exile or transformation or realization, whatever it is that we are taking with us into this journey, whatever we are letting go before moving into this journey, or while we are on this journey, it is all part of our makeup that is being transformed into the new man. So for instance, if we are exercising resilience, we are carrying that attribute into the new man. If we are cleansing ourselves, we are taking that cleansing nature into the new man. If we are mindful of our thoughts and how we think and what we do, we are also taking that into the new man. This is why Mother Eve is calling us, and this is why the called God is really helping us to find our calling in how we have learned it. The called God is reminding us there is a calling on our part to pay heed to understanding that there is a responsibility on our part to be co-creators with Mother Eve and the 14 gods, meaning the 14 gods, to create new man. Now, there's another thing I just want to highlight as well when there is a calling, because we have seen how the three entries of the called God in Genesis of chapter 1, which is verse 5, verse 8, and verse 10, is all reflective in the mouth, which coincides with Mother Eve. So basically, the called God is on par with the said God, because the said God is about words and speech that flows. So there we are. We see that the mouth equals 5. So we are speaking of Genesis of chapter 1. 1 equals, 10 equals 1. So we have seen that called equals 10. The word called equals 10. And so we have the tongue equals 10. The word tongue equals 10. I won't do this right now, or I've done it, or let's just do it. So we had called equals 10. This is on here. So the word tongue, TONGUE. So it's 537562. Let's add this 8, 15, 20, 26, 22 is 28. 2 plus 8 is 10. So we can see how Genesis of chapter 1 is reflective here as in the tongue, but also it's that first, the tongue also corresponds with the called God right here. And verse 5, as we say, 5 is the snake, 5 is mouth, 5 is key, 5 is open, 5 is Mother Eve. Like when we speak of Mother Eve, is 14, 5, 4, 5. Of course, 14, 1 plus 4 is 5. So we are talking about the 14 gods here, which constitute Mother Eve. Okay, so the 14 gods here, we see how 5 has shown, and 10 has showed, and 8 is where we hear of Mother Eve ate of the fruit. So when we are talking about called, we are using the tongue, we are using the mouth, and we are using also the motion that, of course, when we speak, we are able to taste, we are able to eat with the use of our tongues, helping the motion of what we are eating to be digested. Also, so 8, the word eat, because that's what Mother Eve showed us how to do. Of course, this equals the word eat or ate. It's a change of letters, equals 8. The word I, for instance, as well, which is often referred to as pertaining to the individual when we say I. Okay, I equals 9. Of course, I-E-Y-E, because we are the eye of, like the scriptures would say, the eye of God. Okay, don't know if it says it exactly this way, but we are God's eyes in this sense. And this is 5, so this would be 17. 1 plus 7 is 8. And of course, G-O-D is 764. When we add this together, is also 17. 1 plus 7 is 8. So these are, there we see that the 8 is really God right there. So the called God is reflective in that title of God, Godship, and in the mouth, the movement, and also with Mother Eve. So it's really reflecting here. There was another thing that I really am going to have to make do another part on this, because I want to show how the called God is reflective, and there is a pattern that has been happening, because the called God appeared in the 6th position, or the 5th position, should we say, the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, the 6th position, which coincides with Mother Eve as 6 as well, and of course has 6 letters as well. So the called God has 6 letters and had appeared in the 6th position, 6 letters. That's what I mean about Mother Eve, is the letter and the teller. So this is the letter. It's teller. This is the thing that we need to be mindful of. So this is like a business was happening. And this is where Mother Eve, as I said, had the other gods, and really as agents, or like you would have you would let your contracts to other gods. That was what was happening. And Mother Eve had let the contracts to other gods, the other gods, the 13 gods. And so we see, that's why we see the number 13 comes up quite a lot as the God number. But this is where Mother Eve now had taken hold towards the end and said, let us make man, meaning Mother Eve is synergizing or synchronizing and gelling with the other gods and saying, basically, Mother Eve is the gel. Mother Eve is the words, the set God. Mother Eve is the love, but the motion, the movement, the energy, the mold, all those things that we are able to do with our speech, with our sound, with our wherever we have this S word, we are able to sing the vibration that really harmonizes all things together. That's Mother Eve. So, and of course, that's that which makes it present, because the word present is Mother Eve. The serpent, as in the Garden of Eden, is Mother Eve as the serpent. And the word serpent equals 7 as well. Present, the word present also equals 7. So that's where we Mother Eve has called us to pay attention to this. Now we can see that this word said, SID, which we have used, and these have been cleverly permeated in our language. And this is what is important for us to pay attention to. We have been giving a lot of energy to the gods, but we had not understood how we were doing it. And that's what Mother Eve wants us to realize, that every time we use the word called, or we use the word said, or moved, we are creating the gods. So basically, the more energy we give something is the likelihood of that being our reality in this 3D dimension, if you like. So we are able to see it in a more tangible form. And so this is why it was, I am presuming it was cleverly done that way, as being a very wise act, one could say, that we would be using. It's like calling, it's almost like like people were working, for instance, a lot of people were working, or hard to build a pyramid, or slaving to build a monument, or whatever it is. They don't really have the full picture of what the outcome is going to be, because they have not got the capacity or permitted themselves, or for whatever reason, but they are part of that which is being formed. And so they are calling or having a mantra each day to say work. The word work would be happening and giving this a lot of energy, and of course that would come into fruition. But they have not understood that work, they were making work their God in that instance. Or I've got to go to work, or I work at 9 o'clock, or I end work at 5. I work every day, and we speak about work so often that it becomes our God. It becomes that reality. And so this is what the called God, or this is what happened with the gods, the way that they had been implemented in our teachings and in our makeup. So we use, and God created. So created, which is really, for instance, reacted, it comes in so many forms. It comes in our art. It comes in rat form. All these become part of the created God, and it comes with crate. it comes with rate in our business rates or tax rates and all of those things. We see that the created God becomes very, very alive there. It comes with tear, T-E-A-R, and so on. So there are so many things. This is how the gods, when we use the gods this way, they actually take their positions in our makeup without us having this clear understanding that it is through the calling on their names in all different forms that we are attaching ourselves, or in sub titles of their makeup. So this is very important to see how our language has really evolved in helping the gods establish themselves. So the called God, I'm going to have to do another presentation, but before I do this, let's see how this the said God and the called God are correlating here. So this is 14, 15. 1 plus 5 is 6. So as I say, the 6, we can see this is again, there is a relationship between the called God and the said God. So there are 6 letters here. There's a common factor here, the 6 letters. And there is the called God was in the 6th position in the Bible, and now that 6th position now is really going to the 1st position. Now there is another correlation with that, because all of creation we understand was done in 6 days, on the 6th day. So the 6, S-I-X-T-H, which is 28691. So this is 10. This is 15, which is 10 plus 15 is 25, plus 1 is 26. 2 plus 6 is 8. And this is why, again, of course, 26 is also considered the number of God, especially in the Jewish religion. In Judaism, 26 is the number of God. So we can see how 8 as well is the number of God. So there is a set in here. We can see that there's a set, the setting that happens right here with the creation process being on the 6th. So basically, when we hear about the first and the last, here we could see that the said God would be the last God in this sense of creation here, right here, because it is on the 6th position, which is, of course, 20, which equals 26 as the number 8. So basically, we can see how the God, so Mother Eve is really like saying to us, pointing to us to go back to the start, go back to number 1, not number 2, not number 2 as which was the created God, the first God in the second, the first God, which is here, yeah, not as the created God, but as the called God, which is 1. So we had come from 2, as 2 was the start of the last phase, and now we are going to the called God. And the called God, after the called God according to Mother Eve, then we go to the created God. So this is why it is said that you need to call things into being. Call, and of course the word call also corresponds with the word hair. Now we also hair, because there's no need about calling and you're not hearing. There needs to be that two-way conversation, if you like, or the two-way response. So the word hair, H-E-A-R, of course, in the scriptures, I think it is Paul who says faith comes by hearing, or well, that's to that effect. So 1, 5, 8. Let's see this: 10, 18, 23. 2 plus 3 is 5. So we have gone back to Mother Eve, which is, of course, in the entries of the scriptures. Okay, we had Mother Eve, first of all, in the third entry or the third verse of the Bible. Then we had her in the sixth. It would be interesting because there is a 369 number that we are also concerned with. So it would be interesting to see where Mother Eve comes into play from this section as well, because there's the 6, 7, 8, 9. Okay, so whether Mother Eve will be transparent in the brief and the planted position. But here, of course, 23 is the waters, which is still Mother Eve. This is Mother Eve, as we have had in the waters, because the waters that we hear of in Genesis of chapter 1 verse 2, and the Spirit of God moved upon the face of the waters. So Spirit also equals 10. The word Spirit, S-P-I-R-I-T, Spirit of God moved upon the face of the waters. So we can see here 299971. So 3 9s 27, 28 29, 30 37. 3 plus 7 is 10. Okay, so here there is lots to do with the number 10, how the called God is really showing us how potent, how important it is that we call upon the called God. This is our number one stop. Call on the called God for direction or partnership in that which we are doing. So just to continue, or I just thought I would continue exploring the called God, because I believe we need more in-depth understanding of their operations and why the God have moved, because basically the called God have moved to this position because we are now ready to create man in our image after our likeness. Hence the word all is also part of the word of the called God, A-L-L. This is another thing I love to do, is to find all the numbers or all the words that I can get from this, from the gods. So the called God is asking us to call, and of course taking in consideration all things that matter, and we are being led, there's the word LED as well, by the calling. So we are led by our calling. So these are things we can cover in other presentations. I hope you have found this useful. I hope you have found it fun too. So if you like this presentation, click the like button and share. Of course, we are planting new seeds. We are planting ideas. And this is all about getting the gods to work in harmony with creating the new us in God's image and likeness. Thank you.